Hey guys and girls, my name's Dan, welcome back to The Forge. In this episode of Trust Me, I'm Blacksmith. Let's finish this axe that I started the other day. Oh yes, first time. Cool, okay, this is the axe that we started the other day. It's the fire welded wrapped axe. I fire welded the Damascus on that I made a while ago. I'm really bad at this. There we are. It does work. There we go. Anyway, enough of that. I've taken the Damascus steel that I made in a previous project, the stuff that was left over. It wasn't great quality stuff to start with anyway. The knife half that got made out of it was the good bit. And I was supposed to make another knife out of it. It just wasn't great. So I thought, well, this isn't going to be an amazing project, but it's turned out quite nice actually now that we've got it all finished. I made a few mistakes. I've made a few choices that I probably shouldn't have, and I've taken a few options that have either been denoted by my experiences or by the fact that the book wants me to do certain things certain ways. Watch the video. At the end I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked, or like the comments that were made from the previous video, and I'll show you some close-ups of this at the end. So yeah, that's everything. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so here's the axe, and I think it's together. I'm pretty confident it's one piece of metal. I've ground it up a little bit. It's got a reasonable shape and size. There's a lot more material to come out of this blade, and I think for the most part, I'll be able to get a handle on this at least anyway. And then this is the Damascus I was talking about. And I'm basically going to weld the Damascus on like this, hopefully achieving a blade that comes together as a point, and then dressing it down and making it actually look like an axe. Hopefully this is going to work. I think I am going to scarf these bits here. I think I'm just going to grind this back out so it's a bit flusher, so that when it all goes in together, it should go in quite nicely. Now, I'm doing this so we can see the pattern. I know this probably isn't the best way to do this, but I don't know, it's just what I'm doing. Okay, it would appear that I may have done some work without the camera on, and I apologise. So what I've got is the two pieces of Damascus just tack welded on to the axe, and I've been putting this borax on. I'm going to put a bit more borax on. I'm going to try and get some down here as well. And also, this stuff is wet. It seems to steam a lot, this stuff. Just trying to get that on there. And yeah, a bit more in there. Here we are. There are some very evident marks from the Damascus. The Damascus I used was the end piece that I made in a video a while back, and the bottom half of that delaminated ever so slightly, and I think that's what that is there, which is a bit of a shame. And this here is where I welded the two together. I didn't put enough of a chamfer on, and I got quite a line on there, and I think again I forgot to press record, or I've done something wrong there, but you can just see it's there as well. It's not terrible. I think I'm going to try and harden it. It's tingy, so I think it's all together, and it's ground down quite nicely. So, you know, the shape isn't perfect, but it's not horrible. But anyway, what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to try and normalise this, and then once I've normalised it, I'm going to try and see if you can see. I'll just give you a nice close-up. There, you can see the difference in the materials there, and that's the delamination there, and then that. But I don't think it's that bad. I think they welded together along here. They definitely welded in here, but we'll see now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this up to just above its critical temperature, its austenitic range, so about 724 degrees Celsius. And then once I've done that, and also I'll just show you that, that's the crack just there, which isn't too bad, and that one there, just a little tiny crack. Okay, so it's normalised, and basically I just grabbed one of the polishing mops just to take off some of the scale that had formed. I don't know if this is going to be a particularly good specimen, but it's just practice really. These are obviously shear lines where I've not done a good enough job of scarfing them up, but it's okay. This isn't going anywhere. It's just a practice act. It sounds pretty good. I was always told if you get a nice clear ring from a material, it means it's all together. This is mild steel, and then these are obviously the Damascus blades. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this up to above its critical temperature, somewhere in the region of 724 degrees to about 800 degrees, somewhere around there. Hopefully that's going to be okay. I haven't got the data sheets with me to check to make sure that, but it should be fine. I'm then going to quench it in some oil and yeah, see how we get on. The pattern isn't quite as I had imagined, but you will see it in a minute. Now this is hardened and I've semi put an edge on. I'm not going to make it as sharp as it needs to be just yet. I've got to temper it, but I'm going to put this end in the fire, and hopefully all of this gets nice and warm, and I'm going to temper it up here until that goes about a yellowy colour, I guess, a straw colour. That will be a nice blade edge, I believe. And basically the reason I'm heating it from this end and pushing the heat through is because I'm going to dunk this end into some used engine oil, which I know people hate, but I'm going to do it safely, and basically that's going to give me a nice black colour to this hammer, to this axe, and then I'm going to clean this back, polish it right back, clean it up nicely, and then hopefully that's going to be our finished axe, and then I just need to make a handle for it. But yeah, I'm going to do that now, and see you in a minute. The axe to be black, the body at least anyway. Unfortunately the oil quenching technique. Probably would have worked better if I'd have done it for the hardening process, but I wasn't sure what that engine oil was going to do. Woo, that stinks. I wasn't sure what that engine oil was going to do to the, this is where I drop it in there now. I wasn't quite sure what the engine oil was going to do to the high carbon materials in the Damascus. So what I decided to do instead was do some paint on it. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay, so one of the comments that came up a lot was about fire welding to a piece of high carbon steel in between the two sections of the blade. This was something I tried in a previous attempt, and it was one of the only other ones other than this one that I got to stick together properly. It's a great idea. I really like it, and I wish it was going to be possible for this particular project, but the book doesn't say to do that. I don't have the book with me again, which is so stupid, but the Blacksmith's Bible that we're working from for this project, which I will be starting very soon, says to use wrought iron or mild steel. Now, I don't know whether or not because I'm using mild steel I'm going to have less chance of getting the weld together, because the wrought iron will definitely weld together easier than the mild steel. Now, anyway, basically, the book says no, so that's why I haven't done it. That's why I've tried to do it this way. But the book doesn't mention flux or anything like that. So I'm assuming that that's okay, but we will see. The other thing the book says about is welding a piece here on the back as well, which I probably won't do. I'll just make the shape look right. A lot of you also said to pull the cheeks out as you were going along. The book does do that, and that's what I will do when I come to do the actual project. Thank you for that advice. It's really good advice. I should heed it. I shouldn't have been messing around with the drift in there, trying to get that to look right. I watched one of Ryan Taylor videos, and the way his came out after just doing the just forging the cheeks normally on the anvil and then welding them together looked great. So maybe I can do the same thing. Some of you commented on what I said about welding over the top. Now there's a Pioneer axe video that I linked before. I'll link it again in the description. Go and check it out. In that they slide high carbon steel over the top of the axe, and the outcome is that they basically they have these. Yeah, it looked really cool in the video, and it didn't work so well for me. I've got these horrible shear lines here, which are probably going to break at some point. Hence why this is probably never going to leave the workshop, other than to be a nice object. But if I'd done the scarves properly, I think they would have gone in a bit better. I was rushing today. I didn't have much time to mess around with this really. I did try to put a handle on this, but I was struggling to get it to fit, and I thought, sod it, I can't find my spoke shave, so I thought, sod it, leave it alone, and then come back and do it another time. But yeah, that's why that's happened, and when I come to do the project, it is an inserted weld. It's cut open after the weld, so basically it's forge weld together, cut open, forge weld together. It just seems a bit convoluted doing that, but whatever, that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, another thing that was really... It's not frustrating, it's just what happens with blacksmiths. One guy was like, oh, you're hitting it too hard, and someone else was like, flux it and smack it with a massey. I was like, okay, that sort of contradicts each other. So when it comes to doing the weld next time, I am going to do it by hand. I do think hitting it harder with a mass is probably good, but I was always told at college, when you've got two faces, if you hit them too hard, instead of them welding together, they slide over each other and come apart. But this seemed to weld relatively simply easy once we fluxed it, so you know, we'll see what happens anyway when we come to the project. They're all the ones that I wanted to talk about. Thank you everyone who commented, thank you everyone who said lots of nice things on the video, and lots of sort of good positive advice. Okay, on that note, I'm going to end the video there. I'm really pleased with this. It's reasonably sharp. I think that's because of the quality of the steel that I'm using. It kind of holds an edge. This has gone quite well. It looks quite good. It kind of works quite well. Everything looks okay. So when we come to make the actual axe, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the wrap, the firewall, pull the cheeks out, do all that stuff, split it back open, and then I'm going to take a couple of pieces of EN 42J and a couple of pieces of the nickel. I'm going to make like a sandwich out of those, and then I'm going to cut this open and fireweld them inside. And the reason I'm doing that is the nickel is really easy to weld. The EN 42J is going to hold an incredible edge, and hopefully that, some flux, and doing it all properly should combine into a really nice axe. When I made the other project, when I made the compasses and everything, I really took my time. I spent a whole day. Well, in fact, the compasses took 2 days. And we just took my time. We just took the time. We just spent a lot of energy focusing on getting it right, and that's what I want to do. Hence the practice. That is everything. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it for you. If you did enjoy this video, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber, remember to click on that bell to give you notifications. It's a little bell symbol next to the subscribe button. Let me know what you thought of this video. Obviously, I'm going to get some comments about putting the Damascus on the outside, I know that. And some of these shuts, they're my fault. I completely understand that. It turned out great. I'm really happy. That is everything. I will leave a link up here to the Pioneer Axe video thing. I will leave a link down here to another project that I did a while ago. And that's my subscribe, that's not the subscribe, that's the Patreon, and that's the subscribe button. Thank you guys for joining me.